Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is directed by James Gunn once again, and it has a stacked cast. Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Pom Klementieff, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, many more. And in the third and final film in the Guardians trilogy, Star-Lord, who is still reeling from the loss of Gamora, has to go on a mission with the other Guardians to save one of their friends that will probably end the Guardians of the Galaxy forever. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is one of my favourite MCU films. Volume 2 isn't as good, but it's still great, and you know my thoughts on the holiday special. So, my excitement for this movie was through the roof. And I just want to say that we're even lucky to get this film. This movie went through a ton of production issues. Dave Bautista threatened not to come back if James Gunn wasn't rehired. So, this film was looking like it was going to be doomed. But I am so happy to say that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is one of the best MCU films since Infinity War and Endgame. I think this is the first MCU film where I think parents will be a bit iffy of taking their children to see it, because, especially for animal lovers, this film is hard to watch. For a guy like me who just adores animals, I found some scenes really hard to watch. And that comes with the emotional story that Rocket has. His backstory is so heartbreaking that I'm probably turning up a bit now about it. But yeah, his backstory is so heartbreaking, so hard to watch. But it makes for this emotional story with all our characters. And the best part is James Gunn found a way to make every character do something for the story. Not everyone has an arc, per se, but they at least are involved in the story in some way, shape or form which you like and appreciate. There is no bad character in this film, to me. Even the villain is not the greatest. But you frigging hate him. This is probably the first villain in the MCU where I actually wish death on him. I don't wish death on anyone, but this guy, the High Evolutionary, is a menace. This guy is a disgrace. This guy does not care about anyone or anything. He wants to view himself as a god. That's what he views himself as. And you just want the Guardians to defeat him so much. Especially when it comes to Rocket. As I said, his backstory is emotional. And his arc and development goes through loads of flashbacks. And those flashbacks are very emotional. But if we're going to get to a slight flaw with them, we usually cut to the flashbacks when we see Rocket Raccoon, but sometimes we just see them out of nowhere. So the movie kind of breaks its own rules a little bit. But it's not a big deal for me, to be honest. But the other characters also have emotional weight as well. Drax and Mantis were fantastic in this, especially Drax. His name's Drax the Destroyer, but by the end it changes in the best way possible. And this is the final film we're going to see Dave Bautista portraying this character. And it's like he wanted to give this film his all. Because this is the best he's been as this character. And I really hope that he finds some good work after this franchise, because he is a very good actor. Despite being a wrestler in his early life, he is fantastic. Chris Pratt, Star-Lord as well, of course he's great, but his character again was just so funny. He had a lot to do with the story. And again, I think this is the best Chris Pratt has been as this character. Everyone is just bringing their A game. And even the smaller characters like Kraglin and Cosmo the Space Dog, they get a little tiny bit of development in there as well. Especially Kraglin, which I really liked, especially towards the end. The action in this is also kick-ass. There is a corridor fight near the end of this movie, which blended CGI and practical elements so well that I think this is personally one of my favourite action scenes in the entire MCU. It was so visually beautiful. The choreography was flawless as well. The CGI looked great. And leading on to the CGI, I couldn't see a single bad piece of CGI in this film. Well, I say a single piece. There was a couple of little bits, but I'm happy to see that we've actually got good, consistent CGI back now in the Marvel Universe. I know, what a surprise, but yeah, the CGI in this looked really good. And it just made the whole movie as a whole look beautiful. And also the humour in this never really messed with the tone. Apart from a couple of little times, but James Gunn has always been very good at balancing humour and emotional stakes very well. and it shines again in this. But away from the positives, there is a couple of flaws that I wanted to get into. I talked about the flashbacks, but Will Poulter's Adam Warlock. I feel Marvel kind of wrote themselves in a corner with this character because the teaser been Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And he kind of felt shoved in there. It felt like James Gunn just wrote another script and then he said, oh, we teased Adam Warlock in the last film, so we need to add him somehow. And he just shows up at random points and just starts fighting and blowing up stuff. And I'll be honest, they tried to give him a little bit of an arc, but it was not done well at all. And I will also say that Will Poulter, I think he's a great actor. But I don't know, he didn't really sell it for me that much as this character. I don't think he was bad by any means, but there was a few times in this film where his performance was a bit on the ropes a bit. That's what I will say. And also there is the plot line of Star-Lord trying to process that Gamora doesn't remember anything about the Guardians now. And that plot line was kind of just shoved to the side throughout most of the movie. And by the end, it wasn't really developed well. It still held some great emotion because you know these two characters very well, but I don't know, there was a lot more to be done about it, really. But despite those flaws, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is just an emotional ride. It's hilarious. The characters get a lot of things to do. And if you're a guy who's kind of going out of touch with the MCU now, this won't all of a sudden reignite your interest in it, I think. But I think it will at least tell you that they're going in the right direction now. They're starting to get more dark with these movies and shows, which is what I've been crying out for ever since Endgame finished. So, if you're trying to get back into the MCU, this is a starting point. If you love the Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll adore this movie, no doubt. This isn't my favourite in the trilogy. I think it's my second favourite, just above Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I still think one's the better one. But that doesn't mean to say it was bad. It was fantastic. And I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 an 8 out of 10. It was great. It was fantastic. And it really made me cry. I was teared up a little bit at the start of this review, a little bit, just thinking about what happened. But yeah, you'll probably really like this movie. I can see why people didn't really like it, but for me, yeah, this was pretty much everything and more of what I wanted for a conclusion for most of these characters. And guys, that is it for the end of this review. I hope you all enjoyed. Next video, I'm not really too sure what I'm going to be doing. We'll have to see. I do have a couple of ideas though, so let's see if I can produce them well. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. I know this is out a bit early because it was released in the UK earlier, but if you have seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, please let me know your thoughts on it. Have a good day, and see you later.